everyone.
Good morning.
How many of you have ever thought of migrating to a new country? If you have not already migrated.
In the last year?
What is the lure of migration and why people move? Have you ever wondered what are the challenges people face who migrate to another country, uprooting themselves from their home and their own country where they grew? Have you ever wondered what they have to give up in order to come to a new country? Today I plan to present some aspects of an immigrant who has come to US. Why migrate, some people may ask. What is the lure? Opportunities to learn, earn, and live a better lifestyle. In a developing nation or an underdeveloped nation, opportunities are very far and few. To take an example, from India, approximately 10 million new people are added to the workforce every year. 10 million. 10 million is the population of Switzerland. 10 million is the population of Georgia. That same population is added every year, and you have to find jobs for those people. So the jobs are far and few. If you do not become a professional, engineer or a doctor, you would be on the streets. There is no other hope unless you become a professional. Even as an engineer or a professional, the demands outstrip the supply. There are so many people coming out, there isn't many opportunities. United States is one of the places that has one of the most robust mechanisms for people to come in. Approximately 700,000 people become naturalized citizens per year. That may seem a large number, but that is just 0.2% of the overall population of United States. The only countries that have bigger intakes percentage-wise are Canada and Australia, and US is trailed by Germany. US does allow two paths to emigration. A foreign citizen seeking to immigrate must be sponsored by a US citizen or a lawful permanent resident, or employer should be willing to sponsor a person to come in. There are few smaller other avenues to come in. People may seek asylum, or people can come if they invest a lot of money as well. For that you have to have that much money. So what does the immigrant struggle with? Information. Moving to a new country is daunting, and more often than not, somebody is always willing to take advantage of your needs, especially in a developing nation. Information is very limited. Well, with given technologies, people can now go and check out internet and get that information. But in past, there was no information. So what would you do? You will go to a person who is probably an agent who would claim to know everything about how the process works. But you never know if that person is genuine, and he may swindle money of you. Limited legal means to move to the country. So just imagine, you can only move to this country if you have a blood close relative who is already here, or an employer is willing to sponsor you. So you have limited legal means to come in. A world away from friends and family, and a new culture. You may not know a lot of people. When you come in, the culture is very different. You don't know what works, what does not work. I personally thought Americans they don't do a proper usage of English. They thought the same about me, and they probably still do. You don't know what is socially acceptable, what is not. So you have to deal with that. Uncertainty with policies and governments. Some families do have to wait 20 years or more to get green cards. Between those periods, you have to stay on visas, and you don't know whether your visa is going to be renewed the next time. I personally faced a situation. In 2012, I went out for a few days outside US, and when I was trying to enter, the immigration officer had some questions. He said, hey, we want to verify some information. I said, okay, how much time would that take? He was like, we'll get back to you. You stay outside. I was like, okay. I stayed, and a year passed. And within that year, of course, my employer won't, after 6 to 8 weeks, they told me that, hey, we can't support you any longer. You're not here. And then I had to find alternatives. I found a job in Canada, and I moved to Canada. But I had my house. I only went out for a week, but I was stuck. So I had my apartment here, my car here, my belongings here. I had to ask somebody to sell it, everything off, and it was an uncertain future. At the same time, I had gone out. I was supposed to get engaged to Anvesha, and she was supposed to come back. So I did not know what's going to happen next. Is it even going to work out? What if they deny me? Then I don't know. So this is not my only story. Everybody who comes in has these uncertainties always. Finally, you don't belong anywhere for years and remain in no man's land. As you have migrated, you become an outsider in your own country. In the new country, you are temporarily alien for 15, 20 years, right? For a person like me who is generally sponsored by an employer, you cannot lose your job. Even like if you lose your job, you have to get out of the country within 48 hours. You need to be full-time employed. You still have to pay all the taxes. You pay into social security, your insurance, but you cannot avail anything. So if somehow after 20 years they come back and say, hey, you're not a citizen, Uncle Sam keeps it all. And family and your old friends, everybody does move on. You don't get to attend anybody's marriage. You never get to play with their kids. You're not with them during good or bad times. For most people back home, you just remain a name with fading memories or no memories. Now people ask, is it worth it? The answer to it is yes or no. It is a great place providing opportunities to achieve materialistic dreams with greater chance of success. It depends if you're willing to take the risk and willing to pay for it. It is worth if you're willing to continue living with the question being answered, with the question always in your mind, where do we? Thank you.